Like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get caught.
I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk. This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
You're a big Oat Bran guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
Do you have a gallon of milk I can also take home?
You don't have milk in milk?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, hardly ever, on Wednesday night is my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
And I'm already yawning, Andrew. That's how late we're recording.
Wow.
It's at least 6:05 out here. I'm pooped.
I'm in the Pacific time zone as well, and currently in Flagstaff, Arizona, making my way out to Las Vegas. Making my way to Vegas. I watched some summer league basketball. We watched the Thunder against the Grizzlies. They lost the game 94-86, which seems to be the last thing anyone cares about with summer league. Is just who won and who lost.
It only matters if you consistently win like the Blazers do. They have multiple summer league banners, because then it just becomes a fun thing. Oh, let's just try to do it again. That'd be fun.
Yep.
And the Thunder do have the best odds for Vegas Summer League. If you're a betting man. I would
bet against it. 1,000% bet against it, because
if they were playing all their guys,
good players. Oh yeah. They showed already that it's like, okay, we know that J-Dub's good. Let's give other guys a chance. Let's see what Jared Butler's got. Do we need to bring Jared Butler back on another two-way deal? Let's find out. Okay, so takeaways from tonight's game against the Grizzlies is that Trey Mann looked like the best player on the court, and it wasn't particularly close. There were guys that hit shots. I thought like Jake LaRavia for the Grizzlies hit some shots. Jared Butler was pretty good, but Trey Mann, his stat line is pretty sick. 28 points on 14 shots, 10 of 14 from the field, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. He was awesome. Getting to his spots. He looked confident. He looks bigger to me. That's kind of another takeaway for Trey over the last couple of games. Like, he just looks bigger, and he just looks, more than anything, more sure of himself, more sure of what he should be doing. He looks so good and aggressive offensively, and kind of had the chance to showcase everything. He had a floater to begin the game with. His deep ball looked good. He's creating separation. He's kind of doing everything that you hoped Trey Mann would have done last year, but he's displayed it in these first 2 summer league games.
Yeah, I think for most third-year players going in their summer league, if they're putting up these kind of stat lines, we're feeling the way we do about J-Dub, where it's like, he's too good for this. Get him out of there. But because he's had such a weird season last year, it feels like he's on the fringes and he's like fighting for his roster spot.
Yeah.
But like normally this would just be like, oh yeah, this is what a third year player in the NBA should look like in the summer league. He should be this much better than anyone. Yep. And so that part of it's nice. Like, it's nice to finally see this version of Trey. I mean, it's only been 2 games, but still, like, back-to-back games looking really impressive and completely showing you like why they drafted him initially. You know, like the idea of Trey Mann was on full display today. But like, I don't know if I can say I feel any differently about his future prospects with the Thunder. given everything they've done this summer.
Yeah, they added 2 guards to a rotation that already has a lot of guards, and he felt like it was going to be like an easy odd man out, no pun intended, but also pun intended. It felt like it was gonna be all right. That's fine. Trey's gonna be just fine in summer league, and it'll be easy to just let him go. And then he comes in, he plays like this, and to me it just felt like a confidence issue for Trey all of last season. He didn't look as sure of himself as he did in his rookie season. And if he is this player, which we had an unreasonable amount of hype surrounding Trey Mann to start last season. Yeah, and a lot of the players around the team felt the same way. And now he had a sophomore slump. Some guys just get it together in year 3. Like, that just happens. And so you just wonder what's going to happen to Trey once the year starts, because they're adding Micic. They're adding Kason. They're adding players that I think are going to be important to what they do this next season. And it's what's good is that they have flexibility with guys like Giddey and J-Dub and even Shea at the guard position. Like, those can be your guards, but because they're so big, they can also be your forwards. And so they have the flexibility there. However, I don't know if they have the flexibility to add in Trey and Kason and Micic. And, there's other guys on the roster that are going to demand minutes too. And so you just wonder what that looks like. However, none of that matters today because Trey has looked really good. And so we want to give him his due without like pulling the rug from him immediately. We like talking about the rotation, but he's looked really good.
Andrew, you sound like a robot.
Oh, that's not
maybe
good.
It's just for me.
Let us know in the chat. Do I sound like a robot to everybody else? I saw those the looks you were giving me made me think that either I sounded weird or what I was saying about Trey Mann was so absurd to you, and I couldn't tell which was which.
Okay, you sound normal now.
Okay, good.
I agree with the part I understood. I feel like the difference is, though, like you've been saying, and I've been begrudgingly agreeing with you, that the Thunder are probably going to do what they did the last couple seasons, which is Mark's going to explore the roster. Like, we both agree on that, right?
Bingo.
Yes. But the difference is that there are more never DNP guys this season. Like,
okay,
in terms of guys who are never going to.
Oh, I like this game. Let's list them out. Who's our never DNP guys?
Well, first of all, let's bring up last year's. So the guys who are going to play as long as they're healthy every single night. Like, you're never going to sit Shea to let somebody else get a run. Okay?
Nope.
Shea, Giddey. By the end of the season, J-Dub.
Yeah, J-Dub's and Dort.
So that's 4 that I feel very confident about. And maybe that's it. Like, because, I mean, you could say Isaiah Joe, like by the end of the season, probably, but
Isaiah, no.
Okay. Isaiah, no. Wow. Hey. So we'll say 4 guys.
Chet,
4 guys.
2.
No, but Chet didn't play. I'm saying for last year's team.
Oh, for last year. Oh, for last year's team. Okay.
My point is that exploring the roster is pretty easy to do when you only have 4 guys who are definitely getting big minutes every single night.
Okay, so let's talk about who is added to the no rest list of guys.
So it's definitely Chet. I think everyone agrees with that. I think it's definitely Micic. I don't think you're going to be sitting Micic.
Don't think so. I do not agree.
You don't think he's a no DMP guy?
Do not agree with that statement. No, I don't think he is.
Okay. What about Kason?
He can be DMP'd. It's a rookie. It's fine.
So you only think there's one more?
Yeah, I think there's 5. I think there's 5. Now, someone could play themselves into that. If Micic shows up and is just killing it, then yeah, he can become that. I'm not going to put him there day one. Same for Kason. Kason can play himself into that, certainly.
Yeah.
But he would have to be so good, like indispensable, where he's like, for sure, like we don't need him. Like we can't. Isaiah Joe is going to be at the end of the bench now because like we have to play Micic. We have to play Kason. I don't think that's the case. I do think that there is a window open for Trey to get minutes. And a lot of that is more due to the flexibility of the roster and the flexibility of the players than it is anything else.
It's a smaller window than last year. It has to be a smaller window than last year.
Agreed. I think that,
and the window was barely cracked last year.
I know he didn't play at the end of the season.
So, like what he's doing right now is awesome. Like this is the player that when we imagined it at the beginning of last season, this was kind of like what we were thinking. Like a guy who's like a legit 3-level scorer.
Yeah.
Like he can get to the rim whenever he wants. He has a really nice floater. He's a sharp shooter from 3. Like that is the player that we envisioned.
Yeah.
And so you were right that like we were almost ready to write him off. Like we thought it was going to be an easy cut in our brains because we know that they have to cut some number of guys.
Yeah.
And something like this does bring you back in to some extent because you're like, well, that's him. That's the guy. That's the guy we were talking about. There he is.
We're not crazy. Yeah.
But then you step back and you're like, well, how is this ever going to work? Like, is there a way for this to work still in Oklahoma City with all these guys coming in who, if you don't want to put them on the no DMP list, that's fine. But like, they're going to give Micic a shot up front.
I wouldn't be so sure.
What?
I wouldn't be so sure that he's just going to be like staple 20 minutes a night right from the beginning. I just don't know. I
do. Read my. I have as my banner Micic for MVP. If he's going to have an MVP season, Andrew, he's got to be playing from day one.
Well, here's the thing: is that I think that there is a world where Trey Mann can take Isaiah Joe's spot, just because Trey can hit threes, plus do all the other stuff. And I think there was that going into the season, going into this next season, that there can be like an assumed role for Isaiah Joe as like this designated shooter. If Trey can hit shots and create, then I think that there's a world for him to eclipse what Isaiah Joe does. He's going to have to really prove it because Joe has shown that he's like a pretty consistent shooter. Now he tailed off at the end of the season, whatever. Like he's still a good shooter and played hard on defense. And that's something that Trey's going to have to really do. That's something he's going to have to really do in order to earn that spot. But I do think it's interesting. I think Trey being good doesn't mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to mean a whole lot. But I think that Trey has a ways to go to prove that he can be this guy. This is Summer League. The level of competition is a lot lower than the NBA. Like way lower.
I mean, though this was a good summer league team that they were playing. I mean, Memphis has a lot of guys who got regular NBA rotation minutes.
Yes, there are 7th, 8th, and 9th guys on NBA teams out there.
Yeah, I think they were better than the Jazz team that they played.
Without a doubt. The Jazz defense in particular was pretty bad. The Grizzlies defense was much, much better tonight. Okay. I'm good with leaving the Trey Mann discussion there. He's going to play more. We're going to see more of him. We'll see if he stays consistent. Chet played his second game. There were flashes of really great stuff. And defensively, he makes an impact just by being there. You could see the fear in some of the guards' eyes when they're driving and they see that he's there. He had some outstanding blocks tonight. He made some nice moves offensively. However, people are going to point out he had 6 turnovers. He missed all 4 of his threes, kind of front rimmed all of those. Looks to still be kind of getting into shape, which is fine. But you can still see the impact that he made. Just offensively, it seems like, to me, when I watch him, I just keep thinking, oh my gosh, they missed him. Oh, they missed his cut again. Or they missed his roll to the rim, or they missed this. There just weren't guys to complement him out there, which I think will hinder him in summer league certainly. But I could just see where like Shea and Giddey are going to find him in ways to help him a lot. But
and
look
that's
solid
going to
enough.
be that's going to be the way he likely scores the most in his rookie season on those types of plays. Or like the putbacks. I thought he had a couple really impressive putbacks over these last 2 games where he grabbed a rebound and shot it. And the handle is not great. I mean, it's probably good for someone who's 7 feet tall. But as a self creator, it is not great.
It's not there.
That move, he gets stripped on the same move over and over again when he tries to spin, and the other team's just sitting there waiting for it. That happened like at least 4 times over these 2 games. But on the one hand, you want him to keep trying that stuff because like that's where the upside lies on the offensive end. Like that's where the ceiling is on the upside on the offensive end. But he also probably isn't going to be doing a ton of that to start once we get into the season. Like he'll have those opportunities, but he's really doing a lot. He's trying more of that stuff, I feel, now than he will be in the regular season.
Oh, and it's great. Like you want him to figure out where he can and can't do things, and you don't want to like shame him for it or like make him like or to even like call him out and be like, I can't believe he's doing this or whatever. Like he's got to figure those things out. In transition too, if he's not super decisive on where he's going and you can kind of see him like slowing down a little bit. I mean, guys can come from behind him and take the ball. That happened a couple times. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be just fine. He looks super fluid to me. The shot is going to come along. Like I believe in Chet as a shooter. I think it's going to take a little bit of getting his legs underneath him. But overall, like his impact is felt defensively. And that's like number one, what you want to see. It's like, do people care that he's there? He had a really nice like pin block that I think Trey ended up getting a foul on it, but had a really nice pin block. He blocked a 3-point shot. I thought he looked really good for the most part. And
defensively, like I feel even stronger. I feel stronger than I did last year in SLC because that summer league, like especially that first game, we were just like all obsessed with what he did offensively. And then you had the game against Kenny Lofton Jr. where it didn't go well, and so this was round 2. But what he's done defensively over these last 2 games, it feels very real, and it feels like it is real enough where it's going to be a day one type of impact. Because nothing he's doing feels like that out of the ordinary. Like it doesn't feel fluky. None of what he's doing. Like his timing on his blocks is so good. You so rarely see him either bite on a pump fake or jump too early for a guy. Like it's almost always exactly when he was supposed to jump. And I guess like I do kind of wonder why guys keep going at him because like at some point he really is like blocking. There was a point where it felt like he was blocking every shot every time a guy would come in. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like there is like a unexpectedness about him, maybe because he is so skinny. Like maybe you don't see him as much of a threat as he should be. And then his timing is just so perfect that like you don't even realize what's happened by the time you're getting blocked. I was wildly impressed with his defense, obviously around the rim more. I mean, there were some instances where he was guarding on the perimeter and he kind of got out of position. But and that's one of the things I'm interested to see what they do next year, because a big thing with the Thunder last year was that they didn't switch a lot. And so I wonder if that will be the case this year. And if we see more drop coverage with Chet, because I think he could be like a terror in drop coverage where you just like let him patrol the paint and just ward off anyone. And you allow Dort and Kason and Kenrich to just wreak havoc on the perimeter. I think that would be super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think somebody that kind of allows that to happen a little bit is Jay Will, like starting Jay Will with Chet and having him kind of be the person that takes on whatever the challenge is, like down low.
I think Kenneth Lofton Jr. tonight.
Yeah, I think that helps. And then you kind of have Chet as this like rover a little bit.
Yeah,
gonna find the slots where he needs to defend and thwart these guards that are trying to get to the paint. And I think that really helped. I think that's something that we will see, and it makes the most sense too. to like not put Chet on like these big guys that are just going to back him down. Because like you, as a person that like either follows the Thunder, covers the Thunder, whatever, like you don't want to like fall into the trap of like he's too skinny. How is this going to work? If he's your center, how does this actually work? But how it works is that you have another really strong guy, and I think Jay Will can do that. Jay Will has looked pretty impressive too, just in like his positioning and where he's been. Like obviously the stat line's not crazy. I mean, he's only 4 of 11, 12 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, a steal, 3 blocks himself. Like fine, but positionally, like he just looks really good and just looks like he knows where to be. Looks like just another solid NBA player in there, and that was good to see. More summer league thoughts. I mean, off the bench, they didn't have a lot going on. Like Shackelford was kind of killing me defensively. He's just so bad. Then like Maldonado and McConnell are just kind of whatever. I think Jared Butler's played well enough to where if they brought him back on a 2-way contract, like it would make sense. Oos at 13 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 5 of 10 from the field, better than the last game. I think he played overall better. He had 2 blocks tonight too. Played better than he did in the last game. He just has, it's just spurts of like activity where you're like, okay, there it is. You know, when he gets out on the break, like it looks pretty good. When it's in the half court, it's like he's just kind of standing there, and you're like, I'm not sure, or like somebody doesn't find him on the cut, or whatever it is. Like it's just not quite as good as you would have hoped.
Yeah, I think all the places he looked good previously, he still looks good there. Like defensively, like that was the reason why he was able to play last year. It's still good. It's still good. Like especially when he's guarding on the perimeter. I noticed a lot more in that first game. Like his length really bothers guards or even wings when he's on them. Like when they're trying to drive into him, just the amount of mass that Ousmane Dieng is with how long he is really bothers guards. When he's cutting, like there's moments where it looks really good. He had a really nice cut tonight where he like pump faked, went up over 3 guys, I think. And then in transition, when he's getting the pass, he looks good.
Yep.
When he's initiating, he just feels like it's so far away because one of 2 things usually happens. Like he's either going to, he doesn't have like crazy athleticism. So like you rarely see him blow by a guy on the perimeter. So he like penetrates the defense, and then like the first sign of contact, he's usually like going up. He's either shooting like a fadeaway or he's trying to shoot like a goofy floater. And the touch just isn't there really on a lot of those shots. And then there were at least 2 times where he had like a wide open path to the basket. One was in transition in this game, and the other one was the last game. And he actually got fouled in the last game, but the replay seemed to suggest it was a clean block. And I don't know, there's just something about him where he's not he's very predictable in his movements. And like guys are able to just like wait on him and attack him every single time. And I feel that way about a lot of his game, where there's just nothing sudden about his game. It's all kind of like more thought out. I mean, he's not like the record scratch that Baze could be.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's like some super quick decision maker.
Yeah.
Like he has moments of that, but there's a lot of times where it takes him like an extra half second to make a decision.
Yeah, he looks to be more of a complementary piece, at least right now, which is fine. Like he's not going to be a primary initiator on this team, probably no matter what. You know, like Kason is going to be a more consistent guy on the ball than Oos is. The hope for Oos is that he can be like a big wing defender and can make some good passes and can just finish, whether that be at the rim or hit threes. His shooting motion looks really good. Whether or not it goes in, we'll see. But the shooting motion looks good. You pointed this out on Down to Dunk last week. Like he likes to dunk the ball. I think he had 2 dunks tonight. You know, he's finding ways to finish. He's got to continue to work on his aggressiveness overall. But he definitely had some plays where they like put him on LaRavia and Laravia couldn't do a whole lot against him.
Yeah,
and it's not like we're talking about Jake Laravia, but Jake played really good at the beginning of the game, had a really good start, and you put Us on him down the stretch, like he played really well on him. And so I think, this is a good one. Lawrence Field says, who's better, a 19-year-old Poku or a 19-year-old Us? I mean, I think Us already shows that he's like just a little bit more steady of a player than what Poku was at his early age.
So I actually did a stat head comparison of them this morning because I was thinking that same thought. And let me, I'll just bring it up and I'll share it so we can all look at it together.
Oh, you've got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, my hotel Wi-Fi is going in and out. Also, I think it might be the housekeeping lady here who is angrily mopping around me during most of this first part of this podcast. Could be.
So yeah, I would say
pod down.
Now, obviously, the big difference is that Poku got a lot more run in his rookie season than Us did.
Yeah, I mean that was the season that no one saw.
So I'm going to go down to per 100 possessions. They both average exactly 16 points per game. This is per 100 possessions. Poku was a slightly better rebounder, but basically the same. Poku was slightly better at assists, but basically the same. And then Us was better at steals, Poku better than blocks. That all makes sense.
Yeah.
The thing that sticks out is right here. 2-point percentage, Us shot 60% on 2-pointers. Poku, as a rookie, shot 40% on 2-pointers.
Pretty rough.
They were both about the same level of 3-point shooter. Poku shot 28%, Us shot 27%, like basically the same. Turnovers, like Poku had way more, which, if Us got the kind of usage, like if he was allowed to do what Poku got to do in his rookie season, he probably would have had more turnovers. But yeah, in terms of production, they were actually pretty similar. It's just that Us was a much better finisher, significantly better finisher.
But also, like per 100 possessions, you're scoring 16 points.
Yeah. Is that not good enough for you?
It's, for Jang, it's more of just like the lack of shooting, just like period, like taking shots. Than it is anything else.
What do you think, Terrence Ferguson? How many points per game per 100 possessions? His rookie season. I don't know what the answer is. I'm going to look it up.
Oh, it might be less because I think T-Ferg, it felt like he shot even less.
Oh, yeah.
Than those guys.
He only scored 12 points per 100 possessions.
That should have been a canary in the coal mine for us on T-Ferg.
Hey, shot 61% on 2-pointers, better than both of those tall guys. So
wow,
shout out to Ferg.
Wow, good transition player. Also, he played with really good players.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
like in their prime, really good players.
But I think getting back to the question, like I think we're asking that question because it's like we're looking at these minutes, and they seem to like J. Will. So if like J. Will's getting minutes, it's unlikely that Poku and Us will get a ton of minutes in the same game. Like I have a feeling those guys are probably going to be fighting for whatever that backup 4 role is.
Probably so.
And right now, it's hard not to give the edge to Us simply because of his defense.
Yeah, Us can play on the wing though. That's the thing where I thought Poku could in his rookie season, and he's like slowly become more of a big
because he's so jacked.
He is a wing. Because he's got such a big trunk.
I wish he was playing in Summer League. I know he got hurt, and he also probably wasn't ever going to play in Summer League. But
yeah, I don't think he was going to.
That would have been fun.
4th-year guys in Summer League is pretty brutal. Although it would have only been his 2nd Summer League.
That's true. What did you think about? So the first game, the original starting lineup, correct me if I'm wrong, was going to be JRE next to Chet?
I don't know. I think ESPN put that out, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I just, if that was the case, I thought that was kind of interesting decision.
Yeah, that would have been weird. That would have been weird to me because you're starting 3 bigs basically. I don't know that you would do that.
So they have to cut 4 guys.
I think
Is
that
that the
yes,
case?
that's right. They're carrying 19 right now.
Um,
Cut or
what-
trade, we could see something
Yeah.
similar to the Rockets trade that we saw last year.
I
with these
hope
guys.
not to the most recent Rockets trade. Hope we don't have to give up picks to get off some of these guys.
Yeah, not those. Yeah, not that one. Yeah, gosh, what a mess that is.
I mean, it would just hurt because like when you're a fan of a young team, like you kind of buy into every guy that's drafted for at least a little bit. And
There's
with-
still people that, especially Ty Washington, like people that believe in him. Like you'll find a lot of
for
people
sure.
around the league that believe in him still.
And I know there's still Garuba fans, and so for them to just shed those guys, like salary dump them,
I know
that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I would not be happy, and the Rockets fans, like to their credit, not happy about it. Did not want that to happen. What were you saying about having to cut guys?
I was gonna ask if you have any feel right now of like if you were ranking guys, like who would be your first? Do you think there's an obvious cut?
I don't know that there is an obvious cut right now.
Because last year we were able to narrow it down to like 4 guys, and then it turns out they all got traded in a single trade.
Yeah.
But we were at least able to narrow it down to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jack White could be a pretty easy cut, just depending on how he plays in training camp. So I wouldn't say that that's going to stick around. I feel like I'm cutting out. Did I just cut out again?
Your voice changed very briefly, but you never cut out.
Okay. Yeah. I think Jack White's contract is easily cut. I think he's somebody that you want to bring into camp and kind of see how he looks, and maybe he's somebody that ends up on a 2-way ultimately. So like that, but that's just because I just haven't really seen a whole lot of him. I saw some of him with you just saw some of his stuff with Denver, and there's some positivity coming out of people that watched him in Denver, but I don't know. That would be one of them, but I don't know. What do you think? I mean, JRE is another one that I think that could be let go of, but I don't know. I don't think I don't think those are obvious cuts.
No, I don't either. And I'm sure a lot of people might think of Jerry as an obvious cut, but similar to what you were saying about J. Will, like I kind of would like to see Jerry next to Chet to see how it looked, because I do feel like he is not a center, and he was played at center for most of his career so far. And I would like to see what it looks like where he is the 5th starter next to Chet and next to, Shea, J-Dub, and anyone else, Isaiah Joe.
Yeah.
I think that could work.
Yeah. I mean, very obvious cuts would just be letting go of Patty Mills and letting go of Oladipo.
Yeah. That's probably true.
Like those are probably, although I just wonder about having those contracts to trade as expiring deals. I guess we're going to find out how valuable those are to the Thunder, because having like sizable contracts that are expiring at the trade deadline might be valuable again. So I just wonder if at least keeping one of those around, and I would just keep Mills around just because I think having a guy like that on your roster for like leadership purposes, and then also somebody that can hit a shot, he could be like, he could come off the bench and just do similar things to Isaiah Joe, and just to have another one of those guys around. Because you get down to the end of the season, and it's like, oh man, Trey can't play, or like maybe like Kason offensively isn't ready to go. Like we need to win a playoff game. We need 8 guys or 9 guys, and maybe Patty's one that just shows like he's not going to be scared of the moment. He's somebody that you feel like you could play in the closing moments of a game to just hit a shot if you needed to. So I just wonder if you just want to keep him around for those purposes. I know he's a little older, but if you're Houston, and I know Houston fans felt this way, Like they were excited just to get Patty Mills, the player, on their roster.
Yeah, because he is
You know?
like a legit vet for all the reasons you just said. Like, and they need shooting, so it did make sense when I initially saw that. But you have now frozen, Andrew. There, you're back.
Hotel Wi-Fi, man. There's no sustainable success with hotel Wi-Fi here.
This is going to be our last podcast in this hotel.
Yeah, this will be our last one in this hotel. I'll be
Not
in
moving
Vegas. I'll be in Vegas tomorrow. So
Hey, real quick, maybe not real quick. I want to talk about the Miami Portland thing from OKC's perspective, because
yeah, definitely.
it God, first of all, okay. Did you see the tweet that I quote retweeted?
I don't know that I did.
Can I just read it to you?
Yeah, I would love for you to read it to me.
All right. This is a reporter in Miami. He said, "Not that Heat offer should be this much, but the ridiculing of what Heat can offer is silly when you consider they have the equivalent of 7 or 8 first rounders. Okay, 2028, 2030, 2024 if OKC moves the 2025 to 2026. Jaime Jaquez, Jovic, Caleb Martin.
Don't do the equivalent of picks crap. Like I hate that stuff. That's so dumb. All right, keep going.
Cody Martin in parentheses would be first rounder if his class redrafted. Close parentheses.
What does that even mean?
Zero.
What is that? That's so dumb.
Anyways, I, along with a bunch of other people, quote retweeted it. For some reason, he only responded to me. So now I have all of these Heat fans in my mentions.
Who tweeted this? Who tweeted this?
His name's Barry Jackson.
Okay,
which I have no beef with Barry. But all these Heat fans are coming at me now, and they're saying, "Cook 'em, Barry. Cook 'em." They're telling Barry to cook me up, Andrew. I don't want to get cooked.
Did you get cooked?
I don't think I did, but they're saying I'm getting cooked, so I must be getting cooked. I don't know. But anyways, the part of his tweet that I did like, so here's the problem. If I think with my heart, I'm thinking of being a Blazer fan, and I'm thinking like, I hate that a small market is getting bullied in the media, in public, every single day, being gaslit, telling them that like this is actually an awesome offer. Why aren't you not like running to take this offer? But then my head is thinking, well, if we could come out of this with an unprotected pick, maybe the Blazers should take it. Maybe Cody Martin was almost the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Maybe they should think of him as a first rounder. So I want to ask you, because they could do it a few different ways. Like they can't unprotect 2025 because it wouldn't work with the picks. They would either have to unprotect 2026 or they could get one of those future picks, 28 or 30. If you could choose in this scenario, what would you pick? Because 2026 is the Cooper Flag draft, most likely. Although he could reclassify, who knows? Or you could just go for like hey, we'll just take the furthest out one because maybe Portland wants a pick that's closer, in the future. Do you have any strong opinion on which year you would want if you could get it?
I would probably rather have 2026 just because I think that could be a useful year to have an extra first round pick with this team.
Yeah.
But you can convince me that you'd be in the same place in 30, but I would probably just want the 26 unprotected just because I think in 3 seasons, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what the team is, what you'll need to improve it. And if you have the asset like right there for somebody in a really good draft, or what's supposed to be a really good draft, like who knows?
Right.
But it's supposed to be a really good draft. Those picks can be a little bit more valuable. Or if it's unprotected, I mean, Jimmy Butler and Lillard in that season are going to be pretty old.
So I will tell you how old they will be. Jimmy Butler is turning 34 this September.
Yeah. So
that means he'll be 30. He'll be 36. He'll be 34 for the 24 draft, 35 for the 25 draft, 36 for the 26 draft. He'll be 36 years old.
Yeah, 36.
In that season. And then Dame, he's about to turn 33. So he'd be 35 in that season. So you're talking about 35 and 36-year-old in 2026. Like, man, that's a little juicy. And it's unprotected.
It's pretty juicy. Yeah.
And depending on what else they include, this could be a pretty stripped down team.
Yeah,
Especially
because
when does when
Dame is making
Bam?
60. Yeah, what's Bam's? Well, yeah, when is Bam's? How many years do you have left?
Let me see. Bam, he has his deal runs out in the 25-26 season. That's his last season.
Oh, okay, so that's his last season. So they're gonna have to make a decision on him, which they'll probably just decide to bring him along. Yeah, I would rather have that one. Just the value could be there. Also, the Thunder are going to be paying guys then, and just to have the ability to take another rookie to bring him on the team, because the ways that you can improve your team with this new CBA is through re-signing your own guys and through the draft. Like that's how you can add money to your books if you're paying into the tax. And if you're in the first or second apron or whatever, like the best way to add salary is through the draft. And so that will be a year that you will need more draft picks, in my opinion.
If they pull this off, which honestly, I think if Portland's going to do a deal with Miami, it's going to be because they bled them dry of literally everything. And the only way to bleed Miami dry is if they renegotiate this pick. That's the only way they can offer Portland 3 first rounders.
Yeah, Sam was just sitting by the phone waiting for the call.
And that pick started off in the deal, in the Clippers deal. That was a 2023 lottery protected pick that then got pushed back in the KZ Okpala deal.
Yeah.
And then is that when it got renegotiated to do the 25-26?
That's when it got pushed back, and it is looking so much better every single day because you wouldn't have wanted to have an extra pick necessarily in this draft.
Well, that was the worst. Would have been pick 18. We could have
been the Jaquez pick. Yeah.
That was probably the worst pick in that original Paul George trade.
Yeah.
Because there was a 2021 Miami unprotected. I don't remember where that one fell. Was that Trey Mann?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, and also people need to remember this too. The Heat aren't some juggernaut. Their pick was in the teens this year. Like they're not some regular season juggernaut.
On the other hand, like if we were Blazers fans though, I would say the Heat are never good. They're never bad. Like they're never
horrible.
Out.
It's fine I'm just saying for the Thunder.
Yeah, for the Thunder, I think
if you can get some mid first round pick in 26, give me that because you could get like they got Jaime Jaquez and what is seen as like a pretty good draft. And if that's a pretty good draft, if you could get like the equivalent of somebody like that, I'm not talking about them getting like it's going to be unprotected, but I'm not talking about them getting like the 4th pick in the draft. If they could get like the 16th pick in the draft in what is a good draft, you can find good players there that can help you. And that's where you may pick more for fit than ever before. It's like where we saw the Thunder picking like a guy like Steven Adams at 12 when they had their team. You could see them doing something similar to that with that pick. And that player they can either contribute or you can trade it, or the Thunder will probably have their own pick and that pick in 26.
And they'll have a Clippers pick in that year.
Yes, and they'll have the unprotected Clippers pick. You'll have 3 like pretty juicy picks.
And also the Rockets pick.
They have another Rockets in 26?
Yeah, isn't it 24 and 26?
Yeah. They're going to be freaking low. I mean, this is where like Sam's plan just starts to get people just don't realize. Like there's some people kind of killing the Thunder a little bit for what they did this summer. I'm just like whatever. Like it's just if you just look at the big picture, like zoom out for 5 seconds and know that they have several guys on their roster right now that are just like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. Like they're gonna play big minutes and would play big minutes on any team in the NBA. You have this like tertiary group that could be. You could have one of those guys develop. You could have some of those guys will fly to the league, like whatever, but you're going to have this pool of other players that are developing. Some will be good. Some won't, but some will be good. But then we're talking about in 2026 when you have Giddy and J-Dub and Chet and SGA all in their prime. And the thought of having 4 first rounders, it would be like, I'm trying to think of like a team that's like equivalent. Like if Memphis, like take all the drama out of Memphis. Like if Memphis was just Memphis and Ja was not doing everything and he was just a good player, I feel like Memphis having like 4 picks in like in the upcoming draft. You know, it's like, wait, what? Like how did they get 4 picks in this draft? Like their team is ready. Like their team was like the 2 seed. You know, and the Thunder could be hitting that level by then, where they're competing at a really high level, and then you're adding 4 first rounders. Like that's when you can say, hey, we're going to go shopping. We're going to go get this player. We're going to go get that player. And we're going to pick 2 rookies to come on the team to have cheap contracts. And one of them works out, you know, we're in the money. Like this is where like the plan really starts to fall into place with like how kind of crazy it is that he's been able to stockpile these picks for so many years. And the fact that these guys have started to land. I mean, we haven't talked that much about J-Dub, but J-Dub looks like a star. It looks like you just dropped a star into Summer League, and he was just like, I am so much better than all of you, and I know it. I'm going to show you in the first half.
Big, too.
He looks like huge. He's going to play the 4. He's going to...
When he was matched up with Ochai, who's big, like Ochai's jacked.
Yeah.
But when they were standing next to each other, like J-Dub is just so much thicker. Like his chest is so solid. Like he's not built like Dort necessarily, but he is just big. Like he's going to be able to hold his own in the post. Especially, I mean, he said he was up to 220, I think. And at the combine, he was 209. I think at Santa Clara, like maybe when he started, he was 195. So he's put on like 25 pounds over these last couple of years. But like it looks good. Like he is wearing the weight very well. Like he has a huge frame. I was trying to compare him. I was like looking up similar physical comps, which was actually really hard to do. Because I wish I hadn't. I wish I wouldn't have brought it up because I actually didn't find a good one. But I did try. I wanted to let you know I tried.
Yeah, so Zach, my guy Zach Bobernick in the chat.
Oh my God. Dude, that was so awkward. That's such a weird thing to say. I wonder what even the idea was there, other than being a huge jerk. Like, why else would you say that? What's the bit? What's the joke? Other than that this guy's good and this guy isn't. Like, what else are you saying?
We all decided you suck and you're good. How about that?
She's lucky that Jay Will's like the nicest human in the world, where he was able to like laugh it off.
Yeah,
because I would have made a stink face at the camera.
Well, it's great. It was a great moment. Like Trey.
Trey's face was great.
Trey's face was awesome. It was worth it for that moment, for her to say that in that moment, anyways. But
yeah, J-Dub looked like an absolute killer, and like some of his drives, he was well defended, and he was still scoring.
Yeah, the pull-up game, the mid-range pull-up game, though, bro. Like that's a star level pull-up. Like that's what NBA stars look like. Like that's what Jason Tatum looks like when he's going up and pulling up in the mid-range. Like that's what Kobe Bryant looked like when he's pulling up in mid-range. Now, like those two players are like out of this world. If he was anywhere close to as good as either one of those players, would be amazing. But he looks really good. He's going to be really good. I also want to just bring this up too. People have been doing the thing where it's like, who do you think is better, Giddy or J-Dub? And like, who's going to be better? Like, please, like, we don't even have to do it. We don't even have to do that. You know, if you want to do like J-Dub and Jalen Green, go for it. Like, let's compare those two. But like, we don't have to do the who's better, J-Dub or Giddy. It's not exactly the most fair comparison for either one of them because their skill sets don't even overlap all that much. And also, like, the team has both of them. So, like, why are we trying to pit these guys against each other?
Yeah, compare him to Christian Wood. Who's better?
Yeah.
J-Dub or Christian Wood?
compare J-Dub to Şengün if you want. Like, do that. But, like, please don't compare Giddy and J-Dub. And because here's the thing. It's like those dudes are going to see that. And it's not like they're going to care, or they may just think it's silly. But it's just not as like, if you're a Thunder fan, I just saw a lot of Thunder fans doing it. And I just thought, what are you doing? Like, what in the world are you doing? Why are you like,
well, what if we could pit them against each other and get them to hate each other, Andrew?
You're like cannibalizing your own team here. Like, why would you do that? Compare them to the Rockets guys, compare them to the Pistons guys if you want. Compare J-Dub to Jaden Ivey. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do a poll for that? But like, don't cannibalize your own team.
You know, I agree. I agree, especially because like it's not like they're fighting for minutes necessarily. Like they're going
to start next to each other, and
yeah,
they're going to play.
Like,
and the team's success somewhat hinges on how well those guys play together.
Well, we talked about Poku versus Oos, and like I think that actually is a conversation worth having because they're probably going to be fighting over similar minutes. Or if you want to do like Isaiah
the possibility
Joe
of them
Trey
even
Mann.
making the roster, yeah. But like pinning like your two of your currently like 3 or 4 best players against each other, like please don't do that.
Well, you know what I think it comes from. You know what I think it comes from. I do believe this. People are too obsessed with the idea of pushing the button. They're too focused on what the star trade is going to be.
Oh,
and they know that they would have to give up one of those guys. Most likely, you're not like if Joel Embiid became available, you're not getting Joel Embiid with just picks. It's not happening. Sure. Daryl Morey is not being like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just take some picks. So I think that's why people obsess about it because they assume that a star trade is coming. I'll make a prediction now, Andrew. I don't think they're ever going to trade for a star. I truly believe that.
I would agree.
I truly believe that.
I think that they're going to trade for players that are complementary to the guys they have now, similar to what they did with the first iteration of the team. I mean, if you're a Thunder fan and you think that they've hit on Shea, Giddy, J-Dub, and Chet, that's 4 guys that could possibly be on or near max, second year or second contracts. You don't go get a star. You've already got them. So
you've already got them, folks. No, but also like
it's just been that just kind of like saw that with several different like Twitter accounts, and it's just like eating away at me. Like, what are you doing? Well, I don't want to call them out like on Twitter, but like it's just I think it's just the most ridiculous thing.
I mean, when you talk about adding similar players to what they did in the first iteration, a lot of people might be like, like Derek Fisher, like Caron Butler. But I think but it's going to be like souped up versions of that role player. Like, what if you could get the best, most perfect fitting role player for that specific role because you have all these picks? And those are the type of trades where you wouldn't likely have to give up one of your core pieces. You might be able to get a guy like that with a picks-based package and maybe like one young player, but not one of the core guys.
Yeah.
Especially, you see what Dame's going for. I mean,
yeah, you get to go. That's the thing. That's like the whole purpose of all this like pick hoarding. And this is why they're going and getting more second round picks. Like good role players are going for like 2 second round picks, 3 second round picks, 5 second round picks. And they're hoarding second round picks right now, as well as the first rounders, to where they get to go shopping with all of those picks. This is why people saying like, oh, well, here's where the rubber meets the road on collecting too many picks. It's like, actually, no. you don't see the plan if that's what you think. That's not where this is headed. This is heading in a very good direction with the core that they've built. And then they get to go find those guys. Now, like Sam and his team are going to have to find the right role players and trade for the right role players down the road. And that's not the easiest thing to do, but they're going to have a lot more spending power once you get there. And just selecting the right guys and bringing them in to complement this team is going to be something that they're eventually going to do. And who knows, maybe one of them is Micic. Like Micic may come in here and be really good and play well with this team and want to stick around longer than what his contract is. And that'd be great. That'd be great.
Can I go back to to J-Dub measurements? Because I have more thoughts now.
Yes.
Do you know who he's very similar to, but 20 pounds heavier? Josh Howard. Remember Josh Howard?
Josh Howard. Yeah.
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 But for an easier comparison for people listening, so he's 3/4 of an inch shorter than Jaylen Brown. Okay. They weigh about the same now, but he has a 3-inch longer wingspan than Jaylen Brown. Wow. Yeah, than Jaylen Brown. That's kind of the size of player we're talking about now. And Jaylen Brown, I feel like, is like strong. Like he's a big dude.
He's really strong and he's really good. And I would make a left-hand joke right now if I wasn't tired of hearing about it. But
they're both left-handed.
No, it's just that Jaylen Brown can't dribble with his left hand.
Oh,
and that J-Dub can. That's all I was going to say.
By the way, my favorite Dame trade is not going to happen, but Jaylen going to Houston, Dame going to Boston, and Houston sending stuff to Portland.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's like the one trade. I don't think Boston does it.
They're not.
Although
doing it. Yeah.
maybe they could get something back from Houston in that scenario. I don't know. But that was the only one for Portland's side that I was like, because you have to find like a young team for this to make work.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're just going to be taking this poo-poo platter from the Heat, which is a bummer.
I know. Yeah, and I don't really see San Antonio actually doing something. Like that just seems...
No, especially because if you start looking at who they'd give up, I don't think they'd give up Vassell.
They shouldn't. No, they should not. And if you're Portland, you're like, wait, you're not giving up Vassell? Like, what are we doing then? Like, what's...
Oh, we get Zach Collins back?
You get your goon back.
Let me see. Was there anything else from Summer League? I haven't really watched the other teams. I know that things aren't going super well for Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I watched some of that game earlier. Didn't look great. It's early. All the things that you have to say about Summer League is like it doesn't really matter.
Oh man, when the first game, first quarter, up until he missed the dunk, I wasn't like. Summer League's so dumb. Like all of this is very dumb, but Summer League is like the ultimate dumb version of this, where when I see a national account tweet something positive about my team, I get dopamine for some reason. It's like, why am I feeling better? Like this is stupid. But then the same thing when I start seeing people like hating on a guy or just like worrying, even if they're like genuinely just worrying about something, I get like a pit in my stomach, like, oh no, what's happening? And that first quarter with Chet, I felt like all the Thunder fans were like circling up, like PR team, like we got to get our story straight. He looks rusty, but it's not a big deal. He hasn't played a game in over a year. Okay, it's totally fine. He looks rusty. Like everyone was tweeting the same thing. And then finally in the second quarter, it's like, oh, okay, fine. He scored 10 points. Good. Everything's okay now.
Yeah. And with Chet, and we talked about this already, but I think what's really going to matter is like how Chet meshes with the other guys. Like defensively, he's already making an impact. Like, I don't know. Like he can't get me to worry about Chet. I think the shot will fall. I think he definitely can shoot. He's got good enough touch. And he's got moves. He just has got to really figure it out. I hope he plays several games. Like I don't know if he'll play in this last game in Utah or not. And I don't know what his status is in Vegas, but I hope that he plays a few games in Vegas too, just to like get his confidence going. Like get him a 20-point, get him like a 20-10 game and let him get his confidence up and then let him sit. There's got to be a team that he can do that against. Memphis is tough. Like they just have a lot of tough-minded players on their team. Like, I don't know. I thought I don't think there's any cause for concern at all with Chet.
No, I was the defense in particular just like is so good. And it's so different from anything they have had over these last couple of years. Unless you want to throw Moses Brown in there. I mean, he's probably the closest.
You can throw him out
we've got there. As close as that we've had to Chet. But putting someone who is that high a level, because there's moments where he reminds me kind of like Nerlens, because I loved rookie Nerlens, and rookie Nerlens was also a very skinny guy. But Nerlens didn't have like nearly the offensive upside. Like going in, like Nerlens is not going to be able to do anything on offense. Maybe he'll be able to finish around the basket, but that's it. You're really buying into like this defensive ceiling, and I feel like Chet has that defensive ceiling plus a lot of stuff on offense that is like being untapped and that we can still get excited about, but won't really affect his ability to impact a basketball game right out of the gate. Like he's going to impact it positively just because he's on the court defensively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he reminds me of like almost like rookie Kevin Garnett in some ways, with like a similar frame, like super duper skinny guys, but just like undeniable like defensive presence, and like the attitude stuff as well is a little bit like KG. Now, like if he becomes anywhere close to as good as KG, not as good of a rebounder as KG was ever, but I mean Kevin Garnett was 10.6 boards in 28 minutes in his first year. You know, I would guess that Chet would do a little better than that, but if that's what it is, 10, 6, almost 2 assists, a steal and a block, you know, like that might be what he is in year 1, and that's okay. In year 2, he exploded to 17, 8 and 3, but took on like a much bigger role. That to me is kind of like the similar like player that had like an impact on offense and defense. I mean, KG, similar to what they were wanting Chet to do in this game, was like he brought the ball up the court for that Timberwolves squad, you know, from like the forward position, and could play small ball center. Like if KG was brought into the league today, like Garnett would be a small ball center, you know, like he would play center more than he played power forward a lot. So that to me kind of feels like a similar impact player, where it's like, where was KG felt for the most part, like defensively, like he made his imprint, and then he found other ways. He found a lot of ways to score. Very, very good player. But that to me is like when I was watching him today, that just kind of struck me, like watching like a young KG back in the day.
I want to read off the rest of the schedule in case people don't know. So they play Sixers on Thursday, tomorrow.
Yep.
Back to back on ESPN2. Then they start off in Vegas against Dallas. We'll get to see Derek Lively, alternate universe.
Yeah.
Tuesday, the big one. OKC Houston. NBA TV.
I hate that I'm not going to be there for that. I'm leaving Vegas on Monday.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I'm only going to be there for one game. I'm going to be there for what feels like a lot of days, but only see one Thunder game.
I can't wait to watch Amen Thompson though. Like I'm legitimately excited. He other than Wemby, like it's him and Scoot. I want to see what those guys look like.
And Whitmore.
And Whitmore. And then we play Wednesday, very next day, Indiana. So we'll get to see Jarris Walker.
Yeah.
Alternate universe Thunderman. And then the showdown Friday. OKC Zards, Presti, Winger, Dawkins.
Presti,
two front offices.
Dawkins.
Yeah.
Two front offices. Two teams that are playing guys fighting for two-way contracts.
Honestly, though, so we're getting to see Jarris, we're getting to see Derek Lively, and we're getting to see Koulibaly.
You think Koulibaly will be playing them by Friday?
Why? Why wouldn't he? Why not?
I don't know. Those guys, teams just tend to shut guys down after like 2 or 3 games. Hopefully Koulibaly will play like 5 games. But
yeah, that would be nice.
I would not expect like Chet or J-Dub or any of those guys. Maybe Kason will play.
Did you get tickets? Because I heard they were sold out for this Friday.
So I've got a credential for the whole time.
So you get to go to the Wemby Brandon Miller game?
Oh yeah. I will be posted up somewhere. I have to be there like posted up pretty early, but I'm gonna be in the building for that and have a podcast on the Athletic NBA show later that night.
When do you leave? Are you gonna be there Sunday? Because Sunday is Wemby versus Scoot.
Yeah, I'll be there for Wemby Scoot.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. What time is that one at?
And Rupert. Wemby Rupert.
Yeah, Wemby Rupert. Yeah.
The time, it's 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, great.
Local time,
yeah. I will definitely be there for that. Yeah, that's another one where I'll have to be in the arena for like 5 hours early and just like not move from my spot. A Stags 59 in the chat. how long will the meet and greet be at MGM? Thanks for bringing it up. We're doing a meet and greet with the Athletic NBA show and No Dunks on Saturday at 4:00. This is on the 8th of July. It's going to be at the MGM Grand at the MGM Bet MGM Sports Book. I would guess we'll be there for maybe like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the very most. If you plan to come, but you can't be there till later, just send me a DM. I'll hang out. I'll hang out for a little bit longer. If you can't be there right on time.
Who do you think will be the most popular person that people will be wanting to meet?
I mean, it's got to be the note. I mean, yeah, it's like probably Skeets or Tass or Trey, right?
Yeah, that's what I would get. I don't know if people will know what the some of the writers look like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Unless
Zach
they watch the
Harper
shows on YouTube.
People like Zach Harper, so he'll be somebody else. Sam Amick. So
yeah,
Sam will be there. Those guys will be there.
Will David Aldridge be there?
He'll be in Vegas. I'm hopeful. I'll talk to him tomorrow and to try to make sure he might be like one of the most recognizable people.
Yeah,
if he were to show up. I think I will get DA to show up to the meet and greet. But I'll talk to him about that tomorrow. So, yeah. So, first podcast from Flagstaff, probably last podcast from Flagstaff. Got to go see the Grand Canyon today. It's unbelievable. It's like I don't even have good words to describe it. But it was great.
The Grand Canyon is so cool. It's legitimately
cool.
Worth all the hype. It is better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
If you're like, Grand Canyon, whatever, go do it. It is legitimately cool.
So cool. I have my whole family with me. We were going to a specific trail, and then like we hit this. You like went around this curve, and then you see it for the first time. And then, like, I immediately just, like, whipped into, like, a parking spot. I was like, we got to get out and go see it. It's so cool. So much fun. Okay. We'll have more content coming to you guys from Vegas on Friday. I will have some special stuff, too. Hopefully have some more interviews coming to you. Soft Australian licorice. Wow. Look at this.
Go get yourself some.
In the YouTube, you get to see this. Daryl Lee.
Yep.
Soft Australian licorice. We've got so many Australians on the team right now. Over under 1.5 Australians on the roster. Yeah. By the time the season starts.
I'll go over. I think one of the Australians or two of the Australians will stick.
Yeah.
And I think one of them, Josh Giddey. Lock it in.
Lock in Giddey to be on the team. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys again on Friday.